Welcome to the Women in Industry podcast. This is now series 3. My name is Kirsty Davies-Chinnock, and today I'm joined by Susie Siddall, who's the Managing Director of Opus International Products. Opus International Products was set up in 2013 after its founders had accumulated, I'll get my teeth back in, sorry, accumulated many years' experience in the automotive part manufacturing sector. And they started out specialising in low volume supply contracts, working directly with luxury OEMs and first tier suppliers, but also with manufacturers at any level of the production chain. Over the past 3 to 4 years, they've expanded into higher volume mainstream projects and now work with a wide range of automotive and off-highway OEMs. So, Susie, thank you so much for doing this.
No, thank you for having me.
We're recording this just before the Christmas break, ready for Q1 of 2025. And I have sort of been going through your website and looking at what you do. You differ from quite a lot of the companies I would associate as suppliers to the automotive sector, because you're really working with the premium end of the scale. So prestige, supercars, experimental cars. Why did you choose to sort of specialise in that area?
So when the company was first set up, it was because the two directors at the time were doing some sort of design work with the likes of Aston Martin, McLaren, those kind of people, and one of them said to the guys, "Oh, you know, we need a really quick tool for some plastic injection molded parts. Can you help us? We need parts in 3 weeks." And they did it, and then it was, "We've got another low volume project. Can you quote for this?" And it grew from there, really, because there's not a lot of people out there that are happy to work with low volume manufacturers. You know, there's a lot of fluctuation in volumes, a lot of changes in scheduling. It's quite unpredictable. You don't get a schedule and then that schedule runs for 6 months. You know, it's quite unpredictable. So there's not a lot of people out there that are happy to do it and can do it competitively. So we kind of found that niche in the market and have grown from there, really. And we do higher volumes now, but we will never stop supporting those, you know, low volume customers that supported us in the beginning.
And it's got to be from, you know, coming into work every day, it's got to be much more interesting going, "Oh, we're working on this and we've got 6 weeks there and 3 months there and 100 of those and 1,000 of those," rather than setting that machine up and it does 50,000, you know, every year. It's got to be much more interesting for the whole team, particularly. And I know there'll be things you can't tell me that you work on, but particularly if they know what it's going into.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, let me turn that off. That's what we find about the team members that work here. They're not doing the same thing all day, every day. There is a lot of variety, particularly down in production. You know, they might do a week of or a few days of one product and then it switches to another one, and then you get a phone call from a customer and they say, "Oh, you know, we've got a stock loss on these, can you do some more of these?" And so it's all changed. So it is very good and it is exciting. It does make it interesting, but it does come with its challenges, you know. Trying to plan is a nightmare. Yeah,
completely. I know the feeling. So for the day job at Professional Polishing, because we're a free issue subcontractor, it would be so easy to go, that machine is doing that width and that finish and that's it. But then you get an email, which I've just had ping into my inbox, go, "Customer needs 2 packs of these by Wednesday," and I'm like, "It's Monday afternoon."
Yeah, exactly.
Let me finish this podcast and I'll juggle production. And I think it's not so much as well the just changing it. it's the interaction and being able to provide that service.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and going home and going, yeah, good day today. Okay, if we'd stuck to our guns, we might have turned over an extra 10%, but what we've actually done is reinforce the
Yeah,
customer base because of that
yeah,
flexibility.
absolutely. Yeah.
So you've had a career in components for a while now, and you started as PA to a sales and marketing technical director in your first role, so LinkedIn tells me.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And then you took a role on as a buyer.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're working, you know, with someone who's doing sales, marketing, and technical, you're going to sort of be thrown into the deep end when it comes to a mixture of that. So, what was it about the buying, the purchasing aspect that appealed to you?
So the PA role, I was fresh out of university, had done a psychology degree, so not remotely plastics or injection molding or engineering or anything like that. And you know, I just wanted to work, get out there, see the world a little bit, and through that role, I did quite a lot of machine buying and materials procurement, and I just really enjoyed it, to be honest. And then I moved down to the Midlands for personal reasons, and got a job as a junior buyer, did my SIPs, and just really loved it. And then when I moved to Opus, I was able to, because we were really quite small at the time, I was able to do so many different things, you know, look at the different departments, and purchasing kind of covers a whole host of things: contract negotiation, you know, scheduling, planning. It's not just always buying something. So, and then I just kind of grew from there, really. But I just found it really interesting that the roles I did, I wasn't just buying the same thing all the time. I was able to get involved in lots of different things, yeah. And then my degree helped when it came to negotiation as well.
Yeah, I'm sure it did. I've been on the other side of the table with some of our clients who are very, very good negotiators. And I was coming over and going, yeah, they're just better than me at this.
Yeah.
I've stopped negotiating. I just go, this is what I want.
Yeah.
Please.
I'm terrible at it in my personal life. If I want something and I want it, then I won't negotiate. This is just what I want. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for work, I'm not too bad.
And so procurement along the way for you, I mean, you mentioned it links into other areas. It's going to link into obviously operational. And I know you were, one of your titles at Opus was operations manager. But also it's got to really link into the R&D side, particularly with what Opus do.
Yeah.
With the sort of experimental models, the development of new types of cars,
Yeah.
which of course is ongoing. We've had all the leaked adverts, haven't we? November and December 2024 for the new Jaguar models, which has been quite interesting to see people's reactions to that.
Yeah.
I've really quite enjoyed just seeing the polarity of how people have viewed it. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody at all, because everybody will have different opinions. But it's quite interesting that it's a car.
Yeah.
It's a mode of transport.
Yeah. People
But
are really passionate about it, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah. It's so passionate. My brother and my father both love their cars. And I went through a stage of thinking I needed to love cars.
Yeah. You don't.
and I drove Jaguars for many, many years. I now have a Nissan Qashqai, which it's
Get
got
you
four
from
wheels.
A to B. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But so the procurement side on the R&D as well, that must have been really interesting and almost it puts you at the pointy end of the stick, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you can't develop without doing the research into the new materials and everything that you need to do.
Yeah.
So how much do you get involved in the R&D?
So we do quite a bit, really. Some kind of solo as Opus, and then some with customers. Just nipping quickly back to the Jaguar story. So I think they had to do something different. They had to make a bold statement, and I think that's exactly what they've done. And in getting people talking, they've achieved what they wanted to achieve. Whether people like it or not, they've got people talking, haven't they? And you know, they're kind of their research and development feeds into that. I obviously can't say too much, but we did work with them on some, not anything that the customer will see on the vehicle, but we're on some research and development, and it's really, really interesting, especially when you bring in, you know, sustainable materials and things like that, and having to really be careful and thoughtful about what you're buying, where you're buying it from, and the lower end of the supply chain. It has been really interesting. So we've spent quite a lot of time and invested quite a lot of money into R&D, particularly electrification of vehicles, not necessarily road vehicles, some off-highway vehicles as well. And it's not, with, like you say, not without its challenges, because sometimes you're not sure what you need, what are you buying. But yeah, really interesting, and like you say, makes every day different, and just it's not the same thing. Brings changes.
I think it's absolutely correct in what you said, in the fact that Jaguar needed to make a bold statement, and almost the car at the end of it is inconsequential. It doesn't matter what it is. They needed to get the drama ahead of it, because otherwise it's very easy to sort of be sort of a declining, you know, sort of Edwardian building almost. Think about Rackham's in Birmingham, and that became House of Fraser, and then that all went horribly wrong. And Debenhams did the same, and Beatty's, and they didn't innovate, they didn't change.
Exactly.
And you have to innovate and you have to change. And you're not going to please everybody, even some of your customer base. But that's the way of the world. You can't, if you do the same thing forever, eventually your customer base is just going to die off. Well, and you're going to be left with no customer base.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't working for them, was it? Sales were down, and they could see that. And, you know, we obviously see the amount of R&D that goes into these things because we do it every day, but to people buying those cars and people not in the industry, that I don't think they realise how much R&D goes into these projects and how much it kind of drives the end result. But yeah, they needed to do something, and they've certainly done that. Let's see how it pans out.
Well, I think it's going to be an interesting one to watch. And I having a very soft spot for Jaguars, it's something I'll be watching with interest. It might be, you know, be interesting to see how it appeals in the future. Going to change the subject now, and I know 2024 has been a challenging year for you, personally and subsequently professionally. Would you like to take us through what's happened this year?
Yeah, of course. So a bit of background to it. So my partner, Rob Coles, he originally set up Opus back in 2013. And a couple of years before that, he was working with who's no longer a colleague who's no longer our director. And they were doing the business development and the design and that kind of thing. And then in 2013, when they were asked to make these tools, they set up Opus. And then I think it was 2015, the business partner kind of wanted to part ways. And Rob had some really kind of bold ideas, particularly at the time, for what he wanted to do. So they kind of parted ways. Rob kept the business. And I joined in the summer of 2013 it was. So I've been here pretty much from the beginning. And, you know, as we've said, started out quite low level. But over the years, Rob kind of mentored me, I guess, really, and let me get involved in what I wanted to get involved in. And over that time, he developed a super rare liver condition in that his liver grew tumours, but they were benign, and he had lots of surgeries over the years since sort of 2019 was his first one, and then a surgery every 2 years. And then over the last sort of 2.5 years, his health really deteriorated and he needed a liver transplant. So just before we were told he needed this transplant, we really kind of kicked up the mentoring and the training. My brother Jack as well, from a technical point of view, had a lot of mentoring and training. And yeah, we kind of over, I would say from the end of 2022, I kind of ran it day to day, did all the day-to-day stuff, and Rob kind of in the background where he was able to, with the strategic decisions and things like that. So he was on the transplant list for quite a long time, a few kind of false alarms, and then in September this year, he got a call, got the transplant, which went okay, but then there was some complications, and unfortunately in October he passed away. So that was, we'd prepared for it, we knew it was a possibility, but nothing in life prepares you for losing your husband, really, does it? So so that was or still is an interesting challenge. So so I, from a cutting off the emotions, putting on a business hat, there was a plan, and I'm kind of carrying out that, or have carried out that plan. So I'm now managing director, which feels weird because I was doing it anyway, and I was doing it, and I'd go home at the end of every day and I'd tell him what I'd done, and he had no complaints. But then to actually not have that, just that person in the background, that's a bit weird. So yeah, changing all of that around, me managing director, changing LinkedIn, you don't realise all of the little jobs that need to be done. So yeah, it's been a challenge. But having said that, it has been another really good year for us, from a business point of view. So, in his memory, that's quite nice that we can keep that going. And that is the long-term plan, is to keep going, keep growing, and that his kind of baseline strategic plans are there. And so yeah, day to day, we just need to keep going with that. And I need to do lots more learning.
Well, you never stop learning. And
No.
Obviously, I'm so sorry to hear that you've gone through, but sounds like you had an absolutely wonderful relationship. And the fact that you sort of had notice, I'm sure you did much rather it would have been 35 years instead of, sort of 2.5 years. But you'd got notice to sort of plan that through.
Yeah.
And with it sort of always being a possibility, it gives you steps, doesn't it? I think one of the things that human beings are really rubbish at is talking about death.
Yeah.
We are absolutely useless at it.
Yeah.
And nobody really knows what to say.
No.
And particularly Brit, stiff upper lip and all that. It's just, and the fact that you sort of, both of you sort of, looked at it in its face and went, right, okay, let's put a plan together. If you're going to go, you want to go when you've got a plan in place.
Yeah. I think, so he was very, very business minded, had some, brilliant ideas, and he was the ideas guy. I was the doer. So any idea he had, it was me that had to put it into practice. And yeah, from a business point of view, he was very practical like that. If this happens, this is what we need to do. And to build a stable business, you have to talk about those things. You have to know you have to ask the what if questions. So he was very good at that. And actually, work has just saved me, I can't say the same in my personal life. It's not quite that easy, but when, I put my t-shirt on and I walk through that door and you just get on, and yeah, those plans have helped, but also the business has helped me be able to keep going. Yeah.
And being in the grand scheme of things, sort of a fairly smallish team, and you've all worked together for a long time, you're all in it together.
Yeah.
obviously there's going to be a level of grief, but also I imagine pride that, you know, let's do it for Rob. This is going to be his legacy, and you're going to be able to look back in 10 years and sort of go, look the hell what we did.
Yeah. I mean, we have an amazing team. I know everyone says that, but we actually do. And obviously they've known, people that have been with us a long time have known about what's going on. We've been very open, we've kept people updated, and yeah, the senior management team particularly have really pulled together and been really supportive. And you'll know as well as I do, I don't do this on my own. No one person can run a business of this size and of what we do. It takes a team, and we have a good team. And yeah, like you say, we are doing it for him, and we're doing it to make him proud. But me particularly, I'm quite wary of, we don't want to, I don't know what the phrase is, you know, we don't want to get stuck and be like, oh, well, that's what Rob would have done, we have to do it for Rob. We are doing it for him. It was his baby, he's grown it. But we also have to be mindful of, as much as we desperately want him to be, he isn't here, and we have to do things that are right, you know, right now. So that's been an interesting one. And, you know, there's still, I'm making it sound like it's been a walk in the park. It absolutely hasn't. And things like, my LinkedIn profile still says operations manager. Can't bring myself to update that yet. That's a new year job. But yeah.
And you're completely right. It's a line to balance on. Really want to sort of be true to, you know, the ideas they had, but the world changes, the world moves on. That plan is now not necessarily going to be relevant in that area. There's an opportunity there that wasn't foreseen. And also, I think for you and your senior team, it's almost taking baby steps down to, you know, turning right instead of turning left. And you've got to make your own mistakes doing it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
And not beat yourself up too much when you do.
And, you know, I was married to him. He drove me mad. Some of his ideas I couldn't be doing with. So I now don't have to feel guilty or don't have to argue with him. I can just be like, no, we're not doing that now.
My senior management team, one is my work husband and one is my real husband, which just confuses people, because I'll just go do something like my husband's as a plural, and someone will go, oh, you said husband, and I go, yes, I meant it. And
love it.
Just confuse people. But I can be the practical person, but I am very much here's a brilliant idea, make it happen. And they just like, Paul, my work husband's worked with me for 36 years, and he's just like, really? And I'm like, yes. Or we can have a management meeting on the front car park outside Factory 2, which we've done in the past. Just with the door shut, no one can hear us yell at each other. We're too old to yell now.
I know,
but it is, isn't it? It's about making those mistakes and learning, and it's something that is going to be completely different day in and week in and week out for you and the team, and it's just navigating it is going to be a bit difficult. It's a bit of an understatement there, a little bit difficult.
No, and that is how you have to. You can't, if you sit back and you think and you look at this vast thing that you think you've got to achieve, then it's that feels insurmountable. But we're doing it. We do it every day. We're making progress. We've already done not new things, but, you know, taken a couple of inroads that we'd been talking about. They'd not quite started, but actually, no, we need to keep going. We need to keep growing. And and I've got my brother to argue with as well, so I've still got someone to argue with.
As long as you've got someone to argue with, that's perfectly fine. So my brother's an accountant and sort of like runs his own business. Well, him and his business partners, co-directors. So he is the least practical person when it comes to anything to do with anything hands-on, to the extent whenever they've moved house, I've gone round and taken it, I'll just put my toolbox in the boot of the car and I'll walk in, I'll get, can you put that together? Can you put that together? And I'm like, yeah, okay.
Jack's actually, my brother, he's actually an engineer, but he's a little bit like Robin, that he has the idea. So I'll still be the doer. I'll still be doing everyone else's ideas, which is fine. That's how I like it.
So as we're sort of like at the end of December and you've had just a year that, there is no description word for it that I can probably put out in case the child listens to this show. Yeah. I do try not to swear.
Yeah.
But but the sort of family friendly version has been a bugger of a year.
Yes.
And being in the position you're in as well, you can do your crying at home, but you've still got to be a grown up at work.
Yeah.
So moving on to the plans for 2025. I'm not going to ask you about any personal plans because that's just cruel. But what are your professional plans for Opus for 2025? Have you got anything in particular that you're keen to see come to fruition?
So we moved to our new facility in July. So we've had quite a lot of new machines delivered recently, so that's still all kind of being finalised. We've got a tiny little bit of building work left to finish and some floor markings and things like that. So really the first quarter of 2025 is to have that done and to just see that be completed and just take them in and be like, wow, look at what we've done in the last sort of 12, 15 months. There's some new sectors that we've kind of started winning a little bit of business in. So we want to, develop that, diversify. As much as we love automotive and we won't be without it, it's always good to, diversify a little bit. And, we have a good team, but that takes work. So, continue to develop the team and, make sure we're still working well together, make sure we've not fallen out. And I think for me, personally and business-wise, I need to develop my own identity now within Opus and, see what that actually looks like. Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? And it's the end of 2024 and there's all sorts of reflection posts on social media from LinkedIn to TikTok. And I sort of raised a bit of an eyebrow at them, but also really like them. I think I'm sort of a little bit cynical. I'm not really cynical because I think it's great to do. And I love reading everybody else's. But it's about where have we come from? What are we going to do? And how can we learn and develop? We can't stand still.
Yeah.
And we change as we grow, as we go through life events like a bereavement or getting something majorly wrong at work and losing a contract or whatever it is, that they all shape us and we're all continually evolving. And it's quite scary to embrace that change and none of us today are going to be the same person in 12 months time or 5 years time.
No.
And there's so much out there to experience. It gets really quite overwhelming, I think.
Yeah. And people we don't like, just as humans, some people prefer it more than others, but we don't really like change, do we? If we're on a course and we're all kind of going along merrily, we like that. And then, you can't prepare for change, unfortunately. So when it does come along, we can't always prepare for change. So when it does come along, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. It is. It's I think it's one of the things. I mean, we've got a lot of challenges in the world at the moment. Got a lot of economic and business challenges in the UK, and it seems to be one of those things that the older I've got and the longer, oh look, another recession.
Yeah.
What time is it? Yeah, there'll be another one around in half an hour.
Yeah.
I've almost ignore's the wrong word, but it's
No, I
like,
agree. Yeah.
okay, that's that. Can I do anything about it? Nope. Right. Swipe. Is it
Yeah.
swipe? I never did Tinder. Is
No.
it swipe left? What's the one you ignore?
Yeah. Whichever one it is, we're swiping that way. Yeah.
Yeah, we're swiping that way
Yeah.
to ignore the recession or the latest challenge or whatever, because I can't control it.
No.
So all I can do is work on what I can control within that environment.
And if we'd have listened to that, a lot of our investment started just after or during COVID. And if we'd have listened to that then, you know, all the politicians and all the political chit chat and things like that, we wouldn't be where we are now. You have to focus on what you're doing and how you're doing it in the moment, don't you? And to a certain extent ignore it, because you can't, like you say, you can't change it, and all you can change is what you're doing internally. Yeah. So I 100% agree with you.
It's well, I'm glad you agree with me, because I like being agreed with.
Yeah.
Susie, I've got one final question for you.
Yeah.
What's the best advice you've ever received?
So I've probably got two for this, if that's okay. One's very much business and one's not. So from a business point of view, the best advice, and it was from Rob, and he was 100% right. Cash is king. You can be the most profitable business in the world, but if you don't have positive or strong cash flow, it's not worth anything. So you have to do what you have to do to protect that, because it's all right having a customer, but if said customer doesn't pay, then it's not actually worth anything, is it? So yeah, so that would be from a business point of view. And then a life one is what people think of you is none of your business. And I heard that a long time ago, and I'm a massive overthinker and worrier. And someone said that to me, like, well, what someone thinks about you is none of your business. I was like, actually, you're spot on. And yeah, just kind of really puts a different perspective on things.
I really like that. I think there's something similar about the difference between character and reputation.
Yeah.
Stay true to your character and ignore your reputation, because that's what people think of your character.
Yes.
Or something like that. No, that is very true, because again, it's very easy to sort of get lost in the noise that's out there. And life's hard enough without sort of finding yourself sort of running around trying to please people that really don't matter that much.
I'm not saying I don't do that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we all do that, but let's minimise it.
But when I remember that little bit of advice, yeah, it's very helpful.
Going back to people don't like change, you have to remember that advice.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than going on down the same path. We all do it. We all do it. Susie, thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you.
Lovely to chat to you, and thank you so much for your honesty about Rob.
No worries. Thank you for having me. It's been really interesting. It's been great.